joining us. This is Mayegun Live. You are welcome to the Temple of Truth. Please read the caption of the broadcast and read beyond the caption as well. Read the description of the broadcast. Like it. Share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell all of them that Mayegun today. Thank you. Kalu is back, yes. Upon his return, first appointee of his that he had a meeting with the one they shared with us. So he's a tax man. The guys who are behind whatever they can get, those who are squeezing you. You know, Tinubu is a tax collector, a rent seeker. And majority of those that are with him, they are rent seekers. See how much can we get now before we go on another trip? Or buy another toy. Even though they will tell you that, you know, Nigeria businesses that are already dying. No, they are not dying. They are just like, you know, reincarnating. So right now they are working on employing more and more tax collectors across the contraption. It's all about tax and more tax and tax. Taxes, it's called. When you begin to question them what they are using the taxes on, it's on themselves. And then other bogus you know, projects that will never see the light of the day. You wanted Kalu back. Okuigbe said when he comes back, you probably will see improvement. You're about to see that improvement now. Some said that they are looking at the indices of where do you think we should tighten the noose around their neck again, and then put up what is called a photo op to make it look like a Tinubu is walking. He appear like he's serious. Take a look. You know, oh yeah, sorry, Shamini, one unaware, or maybe two unaware. Make it look like I am busy trying to review what we are doing. Kalu. Meanwhile, somebody noticed this at the back, you know, behind him. Like, wait, why does he have two frames of the same picture? You get it now? The pictures in the frame behind him, they are the same photo, same person, right? Why does he have two? Some said it is an act of a megalomaniac. Here you can see somebody who is pretty much like insane, you know. The person will not do okay like that, but you know, somehow some are power, you know, someone that has to be reminded that yeah, you are the one in this one and you are in the one in that one, you are the president of this contraption. So yeah, Tinubu is back, and it is going to be more and more taxes, as they are already roping a lot of you in. The banks, you know, the interest rates, the deposit, this and that. You know, you should have all this kind of madness listed, okay? For example, right, the MPR, which is now the supposed interest rate on if you take any bank loan, okay? So it is pretty much more than this, right? But this is what they put out in the public, or to the public. It's called monetary policy rate. So this is what the banks are expected to charge you. So if you by any chance get a bank loan, this is the interest you are going to pay, 27.25%. It used to be somewhere around 15 and 16%. But as we speak, in some places, it's actually more than 30%. In other areas, it's more than 50. You see that one that is called the CRR, right? That is supposed to be the cash reserve ratio. It's meant for the commercial banks, okay, to keep 50% of their deposits in the central bank, okay, just in case of incasity. There's another one called the LR, which is a liquidity ratio, okay. So also again, some banks too are expected to keep 30% of cash that is easily accessible with the Central Bank of Nigeria. These are the Kadobi's policies, by the way. Okay, so I think the one they call the AC, asymmetric corridor, something. Yeah, that one is called, that's a plus 500%. I mean, so plus 500 minus 100 basic points. Something that has to do with deposits they keep with the central bank, but they face a lower rate, which is a minus 100 basis points if they borrow from the central bank. I don't know how to explain this to you. Anyway, this is what they call their new monetary policy. Before now, right, they've been increasing it almost every month, right? Because according to them, they are trying to fight inflation, hyperinflation, which is hitting Nigeria economically and eating and killing businesses as well. If you are not a businessman, I'm talking about a legit business person in Nigeria, you may not really understand what that is, okay? Or what that simply means to an ordinary layman like me and you is that Nigeria is facing serious economic crisis, hyperinflation, the valued currency, and all of this, in probably the working system, right? What they usually do is that they will increase the interest rate, and then for some time, just not forever like you have it to, just to kind of match it up with the inflation. Then at some point, it will begin to come down. But in that of the contraption, it won't come down because the World Bank has already told you that whatever it is that you are facing in Nigeria today, okay, it is going to last for another between 10 and 15 years. So what that means is that the same World Bank that told Bokuwari at the time that he was doing well, his reform was working, the same World Bank came back later to say, Bokuwari's reform, he reneged on it. Reneging on it means that he didn't follow through with the reform. But now Tinubu is back, which means you're like starting all over again. The last 8 years of your lives, of your businesses, or if your whatever has been taken away from you is considered a waste. So right now, whatever Tinubu is doing with them and the World Bank, right, is considered to be the new reform that is going to be like a renewed shege that will last you for 15 years. I do not have a better way of explaining it to you than to tell you that you are forged, so to say. Put it that way. I don't want to say so that some other young people watching won't be like, come on, my language. You know what I mean? So as it stands, Tinubu is working with the IMF World Bank policies, right? That is, the policies that are detrimental to you that every day more and more Nigerians are falling into poverty. And they said it has to remain like that for the next 15 years. In one outing recently, I think it was in Bauchi, Oban Baro, which is Obasanjo, was somewhere talking about the data released by the same World Bank. 20% of, 10% of Nigeria population is equivalent to the number of, okay, put it this way, 20 million, supposedly 20 million out of school children in Nigeria. If you now put that beside the population of Nigeria, that simply means that 10% of Nigeria population are children that are out of school, in his own words.
But let me emphasize what we want to do. Yes, human capacity building is very important. Education and human capacity building. World Bank says we have over 20 million children who should be in school that are not in school. For a population of about, what, 220, 230 million. So that is 10% of our population that should be in school that are not in school. Governor, Your Royal Highnesses, brothers and sisters, that is recruitment for future Boko Haram. Nobody needs to tell us that. Apart from being that 10% of our population are not being equipped to develop their innate ability, innate capacity to be able to serve themselves, their family, their community, we are also preparing them to be recruited in 10, 12, 15 years' time for whatever form of Boko Haram it will be at that time, whatever form of banditry it will be. They not be kidnappers in the usual sense of it. They may just be coming to homes and be snatchers of people from their homes. Think about it.
Think about it. Now, let me kind of break that down a bit for you to understand. You know, normally a government will be alarmed. Start with the state governments, local governments, and the federal government of a serious country. I have been hearing this out of school children data, at least since I have been tracking it for more than 10 years now. When I was growing up, it wasn't a thing to say out of school children. Maybe we've had out of school children back then, that the data was just not so obvious. Okay. But the last 10 years, I have actually, in fact, put it this way, it was APC, Egbekebe, that got somebody like me more curious and interested in that number. Remember, before APC, Egbekebe came in, they used to tell us about over 1 million Nigerians displaced by Boko Haram. Yeah, internally displaced person. Today, that number is over 10 million internally displaced Nigerians caused by majorly terrorism, internal insecurity. And the number grew by more than 800% under APC. Now we have internally displaced persons in the southern part of Nigeria. We have them in the eastern part of Nigeria. We have them in the Niger Delta of Nigeria. We have them in the western part of Nigeria. Internally displaced persons. Usually they call them internal, and that's just a fancy word for it. It's actually refugees. You know, normally we say Nigeria is not at war, right? But Nigeria is not at war. Nigeria is not at war. We have more children orphaned today than we had 10 years ago. So this number of out of school children, right? APC, Egbekebe, like I said, they were the ones who also raised the alarm on it in 2014, telling us about over 6 or so million out of school children. Majority of them were from northern Nigeria. Today, we now have millions of out of school children in the southern part of Nigeria too. Guess something? The richest state in Nigeria is Lagos State. And Lagos State alone has over 1.4 million out of school children. Now, you might say they are probably imported from so many other places, especially from northern part of Nigeria, and you may be right. But guess what? The northern part of Nigeria alone have over 16.9, nearly 17 million out of school children. Kano State holds the ace. They hold the number one slot with over 4 million out of school children. I'm talking about like almost like the children in Kano have no chance of being in school at all. Then when you begin to go on and on, then you go to the areas like Borono, Bauchi, Kaduna, even though Kaduna Littlefinger, which fancied himself as an administrator, that is different from others, right? Yeah, Kaduna alone has over 1 million out of school children. Also, the majority, standard too. So when you ask, mind you, before APC, back then, Goodluck Ebere Jonathan was building schools. I am aware of some of them that are no longer existing anymore today. You won't believe this, right? Goodluck Ebere Jonathan built over 10,000 classrooms across northern Nigeria. And they called it Alimajiri schools. Yeah, you heard me right. Go and Google it. Over 10,000. 10,000. Alimajiri schools, like block of classrooms. They were meant to be taught Quranic teachings as well as Western education. Okay. But the clerics in northern Nigeria, who are always using these children as Alimajiris, right? They were those who waged war. One of the reasons why they hated him so much, and they backed the Boko Haram so much then in northern Nigeria. So Boko Haram, Boko is book. Haram is a sin. So they considered Western education as a sin. They said Goodluck Ebere Jonathan was trying to snatch their children away from them, from the ways of Islam. Immediately, Boko Haram came in. Not a single school is built by Boko Haram. Now, you can also go and fact check that too. Whatever I say to you, you can Google and fact check it. All right? You don't have to believe me. Just go on and check it. For 8 years, not a single block of classroom is built by Boko Haram to help those out of school children back to school. In fact, under Boko Haram APC, they started deporting children from one state to another. Yeah. Bauchi would deport. They would say, these ones, they must be from Sokoto. Oh, yeah, deport them to Sokoto. Sokoto will also raid some children. Deport them to Bauchi. Kaduna will raid some children. Deport them to Kano. Kano will raid some children. Deport them to Niger. Niger will raid, they were like deporting these children. Right? But whenever it is politics, all these children have voters card. All of them. Doesn't matter their age. You will see some of them like they are as young as these Almajiri children. They are as young. You will see some of them that are as young as 2 years old child. So the people that sort of stoned Goodluck in Bauchi, right? They ended up worsening the situation. And today, there is nearly 17 million out of school children in northern Nigeria. So this is why the jihadist terrorists recruiting children, giving them drugs and giving them guns to enter into villages, communities, and just wreak havoc. This is why they will never run out of recruits. They will never run out of recruits. I think that was where Tinubu got the inspiration from. 37% unemployed. Recruit, remember.
And we are competing with armed robbers and the bandits to recruit from the youths who are unemployed. 33% unemployed. Recruit 50 million youths into the army and the other thing. Take away from their recruitment source. What they will eat? Cassava, àgbàdo, corn, in the morning, yam in the afternoon. It's growing here. You create demand and consumption. for over 5 million army of boot camps. We create our food. That's money for the farmers. That's consumption for the soldiers and skill development. Don't call them by illiterate. Don't talk about illiteracy. Anybody who can own gun, who can handle gun, who can cock gun and clean the chamber and cock and shoot is technically competent to repair a tractor in the farm.
You get that? That was where he got his inspiration from. Tinubu has been in the saddle for over 17 months now. Apart from collection of taxes, listen, they are already bragging of how much more money they have been able to generate. I don't know if you are aware of that. Yeah, the IGR has improved, even though there is no new job created. There is no number of new businesses that have been added into Nigeria's economy in the last 17 months. Yeah, they may have told you with the with the word of mouth to say investors are rushing to Nigeria, but ask which of the sector have you had these investors in? How much jobs have been created, and how much of these unemployed youth or alimajiri youth have been put to school? Or do they even have any policy? Do you think APC have any policy of returning these children to school? The one that maybe I am not aware of. You may tell us. Eh? Yeah, there is something called the Universal Basic Education. It is funded by the federal government and the state governments. So what they usually do with that is the state government, right, would put down 45% of what it requires to enroll children into school. And the federal government will add 55% or so of that money. So it's called counterpart funding. It's been 17 months. And the states on record, they have been given more money than ever. Yeah, that's what I can confirm. So Tinubu's regime, they have increased IGR to states. Give that to them. But it is not different from the same Tinubu announcing the 300% increase in the salaries of political office holders, the judges, and all of them. It's not different, okay? To the point that the senators that were earning between 30 and 35 million naira 17 months ago, today, the same senator is now earning between 50 and 55 million naira. In fact, let's talk about this salary of a thing, and as well as the economic destruction, which has shrinked the supposed income or income of these political office holders. You know that when the Nigerian lawmakers, the House of Representative members, back then their salaries included, I put it as salary because that's what they pay them, emoluments, but it is not really their salary. So let me explain that to you, okay? Nigerian lawmakers and politicians, they are the highest paid in the whole world. Nigeria was supposed to be a third world country, the poor country, as these guys have mismanaged the place, right? To the point that the minimum wage in Nigeria used to be $78 if you convert the 30,000 naira a month to dollars. Okay. it was about $78. Now, an average, what do I mean by an average? Each senator in Nigeria was supposed to be paid 750,000 naira salary. But do you know something? These guys now reworked their pay. They have to be paid 500% of that basic salary. What is 500% of 750,000 naira? Multiply